What's good, Panther Nation? It is your boy, Myron McRae, a.k.a. Tornado McRae, across the skies of the internet, here with another episode of Panther Pride TV, your one-stop shop for all your Panther notifications and your Panther obligations. Guys, I would just like to let you know that this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Got to give them a huge shout-out. Thank you so much to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. If y'all want to, you can always download the Underdog Fantasy app using this little QR code right up here and have some fun on that thing and have a good time. But let's go ahead and get into today's docket, man. Happy Thursday to all of you. Hope you are having a great day. Hope everything's going smooth. And you know what? A long weekend's coming, so shout out to the long weekend ahead of us, man. But we're going to get into today's docket. A lot of stuff that has been said and a lot of the points that I'm going to be speaking on come from Dan Morgan in terms of direction and opposition of what we can expect moving forward for the offseason. So, first things first, and I thought this was really interesting because we have talked about it for the last couple of days, and that is the potential for a quarterback battle. And according to Dan Morgan, there may be a quarterback battle, but not for QB1, but perhaps QB2.
Nani?
Yeah, little shocker. So, Dan Morgan in an interview was asked kind of what he's looking for at another third-string quarterback because, you know, we had Mike White and Hendon Hooker at one point, and one person that was brought up was potentially Malik Willis as competition for that QB2 spot. Willis is 26, could easily fall in line, but he's probably going to get more reps in Green Bay because he was able to hold his own. However, here's what Morgan had to say in regards to that and Willis and a quarterback of his caliber. Morgan says, I think we want to add competition to every room. Quarterback's no different. So that could be something that we do this offseason. Hey. Now, a lot of us, including myself, we understand what Andy Dalton did, and I'm not against quarterback competition being brought in to go up to Andy Dalton or up against Andy Dalton for the QB2 spot. I said yesterday in the podcast, I'm cool if the Carolina Panthers decide to draft a quarterback they think is comfortable and can compete for that QB2 spot. Shoot, I'm cool if they decide to go out in free agency to find a guy who can compete with Andy Dalton for that QB2 spot. I'm perfectly okay with that. But I genuinely think we do need somebody that we can trust in that QB3 spot or to fight for QB2 in the event that something happens to Bryce. We know what Andy Dalton gives us. And bad part is what Andy Dalton gives us now is not what Andy Dalton gave us in 2024. I'm just being 1,000. We saw what happened in that Bills game. We were all like, Bryce, please come back. Please come back. We saw what happened. Andy Dalton can still be that veteran presence, help the quarterbacks, help Bryce Young continue to grow and flourish and do all those things. I'm all for that, 1,000%. But right now, to put Andy Dalton in the game and trust him,
Nani?
yeah, nah, bro. I'm not jacking that. I'm not with that at all. I'm not feeling it. I'm not going for it. I'm not comfortable. So, I am a huge proponent of bringing in a quarterback to help fight for that. Malik Willis would be a great addition. I think, who else would be some good additions? Honestly, I don't know who's available in terms of free agent backup quarterbacks. Now I'm curious because I don't know off the top of my head. Who's available for backup quarterback right now going into this offseason. Let's see. So, right now, guys who are set to be unrestricted free agents after this season, you have guys like Daniel Jones, who's probably going to get re-signed Daniel Jones is getting re-signed in Indy, so I ain't even looking at that. Notable names: Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Zach Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitch Trubisky, Case Keenum, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz, Josh Johnson, Brandon Allen, Malik Willis, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, Brent Ripien, Gardner Minshew, Tyler Thompson, Tommy DeVito, Sam Howell, and Jake Browning. Now, looking at some of these names, obviously if Malik Willis is available, I'm cool with Malik Willis. I'm definitely on board with that. I would say Tommy DeVito isn't a bad choice. I thought he did pretty well in the short stint that he did have. I'm not Flacco, no. Tyrod, nah. Zach Wilson, no. I'm not huge on Zach Wilson. Case Keenum wasn't bad, but Case Keenum is essentially what Andy Dalton is. So I guess you could do that. Because my logic right now, I was kind of looking for somebody who is younger than Andy Dalton, but could give Andy Dalton a run for his money off this list right here. So that's what I was thinking of. Because when I look at these other guys, like Aaron Rodgers, I don't want. Russell Wilson, absolutely don't want. Marcus Mariota, no, I don't want. Zach Wilson, no, I don't want. Joe Flacco, no, I don't want. Kenny Pickett, nah. Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitch Trubisky, no. I'm cool off that. Carson Wentz, But all these guys are kind of in that same realm. Teddy Bridgewater we've had before, so we're good there. Gardner Minshew isn't bad, but I think he just tore his ACL too. So, because I think him and Mahomes tore that. So, number of names could be available. Looking at it from that perspective, I think the draft is probably the better direction to go, potentially. But if you're looking for somebody who has NFL experience and it's kind of that perfect blend of, yeah, he's not as old as Andy Dalton, but can compete for that QB2 spot with Andy Dalton and could still run the offense kind of similar to Bryce Young, I think Malik Willis would be the best choice if we could get him. Obviously, Green Bay is going to try and retain him because he did real good filling in for Jordan Love. So there's that. But you never know. You never know. They might be stupid and let him go. Next, Morgan was speaking on the 2024 Carolina Panthers draft class, which has been under a lot of scrutiny, and he has a message for him. He has a message for Panther Nation in general regarding that draft class, because that draft class is Xavier Legette, Jonathan Brooks, Trevin Wallace, and company. And when I look at it as a whole, yeah, you have Xavier, Jonathan, Trevin Wallace, Jatavian Sanders, Charles Smith-Wade, Jaden Crometti, Michael Barrett. Now, on a whole, the best two out of this draft right now, Jatavian Sanders and Charles Smith-Wade. Like, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a stack. We don't have to lie about that. Crometti and Barrett, I don't even think we have anymore. No, I'm pretty sure we don't got them anymore. Or at least if we do, they're on practice squad. We all know about X's problems, and then Jonathan Brooks has been injured, so there's that. And then Trevin Wallace, he did solid. I'll say Trevin Wallace was solid. But this is Morgan's message to Panther Nation in regards to this draft class. Let me pull it up for you. Here we go. Morgan was asked about the 2024 class, and he says, "We're all so quick to judge these guys. And maybe they're not developing as quick as the outside wants. But I think you've got to be patient with these guys. I think you've got to let them develop. You got to let them grow. Trevin's still 22 years old. Xavier, it took him till his senior year to really start developing and coming into his own at South Carolina. So I think we take a patient approach with those guys. Now, I'm not against it, and I've been preaching that same approach with Bryce Young, so I can see why he's saying that. Trevin Wallace, I wouldn't harp on as much. I think he's coming along pretty solid. I don't know anybody who was expecting like spectacular things out of Trevin, but I could be wrong. I could just be in the minority there. And if I am, okay, I'll admit that. Xavier, the reason why a lot of people are harping on him, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but the reason why a lot of people are harping on him is, one, the consistent lack of awareness for where his feet are in terms of being inbounds. That has not helped X's case in any capacity. It hasn't. Constant times we've seen he loses where he's at on the field. He only gets 1 foot down, and it just doesn't seem like he understands what it is to be a wide receiver, which you can't have at this level. I'm sorry, you just can't. You've been playing this position long enough. You know, 1 foot, 2 foot. You should be comfortable enough to know where you're at on the field. I get if it happens once every so often, but when it consistently happens, that tends to hurt. The second happens to be the drops. It seems as though X is having more drops than we would like, especially in comparison to T-Mac, in comparison to Jalen Coker, in comparison to Jimmy Horn, in comparison to Bryson Tremaine, in comparison to Jatavian Sanders, in comparison to Mitchell Evans, in comparison to Tommy Tremble. X is having more drops than you would like, and it doesn't look good. And it sucks because we want him to be great. A lot of us want him to be great and don't want to give up on him just yet. But I also said if he doesn't improve or show signs of, hey, I have improved, I've gotten better, I've gotten more consistent by the trade deadline next year, you kind of got to start looking at potentially getting rid of him. I'm not saying get rid of him this offseason. I am all on the cusp and all on the train of Carolina, go ahead, send your entire receiving corps to go be with Chad Ochocinco for 2 months. Bryce Young with him. Send Bryce Young, Andy Dalton, and all the receivers to go be with Chad for 2 months, 3 months, and then meet us back up for OTAs. I am all for that. Do it on your dime, Carolina, if Chad is charging. Because to me, that builds that chemistry, builds that camaraderie, and it gets people like X, T-Mac, Coker, Tremaine, David Moore, Jimmy Horn Jr., it gets them better, especially in their footwork. If there's one thing Chad Johnson was known for is his footwork. And for a guy like X, where that seems to be a key problem right now, that would be a blessing. For T-Mac, it's using 2 hands on the ball. Jimmy Horn being able to use space and with his speed. Jalen Coker, hey man, honestly, just getting more moves in his bag. And even with David Moore and Bryson Tremaine, getting more reps with Bryce and getting better overall as a receiver, and David Moore coming back from injury and having to get back in those reps. I think it would be beneficial. But I get the patience. I understand what Morgan is saying. It's hard when the thing to be patient, it's core value stuff that this position should know. You get what I mean? For example, if Trevin Wallace wasn't able to come up and wrap up a tackle, like just consistently, that would be an issue. That would be an issue. Like, he wasn't bad by any means. I don't think he was atrocious. Could he have been better? Absolutely. Could he have been better? Absolutely. But I don't think he was atrocious in any regard. And I just want X to be great. And I want the things where if bad stuff happens to X next season, it's stuff that's honestly out of his control. It's not core value receiver things that you're supposed to know, like get 2 feet down, hold on to the ball, so on and so forth. It's things like, bro, the ball bounced in the weirdest of ways, and that's the only reason why you didn't get it. Something of that nature. Or flipping, the referees are just blind and didn't give you the catch that you did have. You get what I mean? So, I understand Dan Morgan's thought process, brain flub. Now, when I say brain flub, I meant my brain. It flubbed. But I get where he's coming from, and I get what he is trying to attribute, man. I really do. And I'm all for it. But we still got more football to talk about, and we still got more football to speak on because the playoffs are still going on, man. And we got to do this ad read for Underdog Fantasy because Underdog is the best place to get all your gridiron action. And you know what? Playing Underdog is easy. Just pick one of your favorite players and see if they will go higher or lower on any stats, such as touchdowns, rush yards, receptions, interceptions, all the good things. And if you get them right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash, man. And truth be told, we're going to go in a little bit deeper today and pick a player that I really think heading into this weekend. And so I got to ask you, as we get into it, let's look at it. We're going to look at it right after I finish this up. So what are you waiting for? Download the app and use the promo code FootballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code FootballFan. And now let's look into the guy I'm looking at this weekend who we just played last week. And it is one Matthew Stafford. I know. It kind of burns, it kind of pains, but Matthew Stafford's still in the playoffs, and he's one guy you honestly can't overlook when it comes to this, man. Because as I'm looking at what Underdog is predicting, they're saying 270.5 passing yards, 2.5 passing touchdowns, half a rushing yard, 22.5 completions, and 34.5 passing attempts. Now, mind you, they are going against the Bears this weekend on Sunday at 6:30. So what would I predict? What do I think could happen? 270.5 passing yards for Matthew Stafford. I would predict that would actually be higher. I'd actually predict that would actually be higher. And the reason why is because I just saw Stafford throw for 300. He's due for it. It's playoff Stafford. He's going to do this. He's going to do his thing, and he's going to put up numbers. He's going to ball out. And it's the Bears, if I'm being honest. Yes, they beat Green Bay. But if I'm being truthful, it's the Bears. And because of that, Stafford's going to have to put up some numbers. They ain't going to let that happen and slip. And next thing you know, you have the 2.5 passing touchdowns. Matthew Stafford, a Sean McVay offense. I'm going higher. Does anything need to be said? Does anything need to be said here? Matthew Stafford, a Sean McVay offense. I'm going higher. I would assume higher. Now, rushing yards. I thought about selecting lower here. I really, really did, but it's the playoffs. It is the playoffs, and Stafford cannot afford not to take the play action, and Stafford will put his shoulder down. He will truck you. He will do whatever it takes to run you over. And in the playoffs, you need that. You need that from your star quarterback. So when that's said and done, I genuinely believe that over half a rush yard, and that's the crazy part. It's half. It's not 50. It's not 100. They said half. Matthew Stafford, Can't get half a rushing yard? Not one? Not even on the quarterback sneak? Come on now. Like, you tell me, do you think Matthew Stafford cannot get half a rushing yard? I think that's pretty easy. And then completions, 22 and a half. I could say higher. Not by much. I would think it'd be like 23. Like I'm thinking it's right at like 23, maybe 24. And that's just where that lies, because he's going to be methodical. He's going to be precise. He's going to be just on a roll, and they're getting back in their flow. They're getting off their snide. If they don't, I'm going to be very surprised. If they don't, if he doesn't, I'd be very, very surprised. Low key, high key, mid key, any key. But that's where my thought process goes. And then lastly, pass attempts, 34 and a half. As y'all can see, I selected lower. And the reason why I picked lower is I think it's going to be at like 33. 23 or 33 for 305, 310. I can see that. 3 TDs. That's just my thought process and what I think of when it comes to Matthew Stafford, because he's going to give you numbers. He's going to put up a lot of work, and he's going to do his thing. And I love that for Stafford. Wish he hadn't done it against Carolina. C'est la vie. It sucks. However, it happened. But, guys, with all that being said, remember, use promo code FOOTBALLFAN to get $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 for all your new customers, so you can also play on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Now, let's get back to the show. And, Jesus, I apologize, y'all. Like, my nose is acting up today. But, third thing that could change, and I was supposed to say play caller. It just did like a Google edit, whatever. But there could be a play calling change for 2026. And with this, a lot of you, especially DP has been calling for it, so I got to give him credit where credit is due. That man has been screaming for it more than me in terms of changing the offensive play caller from Canales for 2026. So Dan Morgan was asked about this and saying, hey, what do you think about Canales being the play caller, the offensive play caller for 2026, or do you think it's a change? Now, Canales has gone out and said right now he is still going to be the play caller for 26, but he's also said he's going to be looking into it and seeing if that's the best route forward, things of that nature. And again, I've seen DP in the comments. He has flat out said this offense, and I've even said it at times throughout the season, the offensive play calling held this offense back at times because it was inconsistent, because it was all over the place, because it didn't utilize what it had at times. It seemed like Coach Canales had some weeks where he was A1 on it with his play calling, and other weeks the man had like this was his very first game ever calling plays. It was weird. It was very weird. And so here's what Morgan had to say about that. Morgan says, honestly, I think that's really his call. I think if he wants to promote somebody into being his play caller or being somebody from the outside or bring somebody from the outside. We haven't really talked about that, but that is something that I'm sure we'll talk about. We talk about every decision together. If he feels like he needs to add somebody or promote somebody into being the play caller, then I trust him. Now, with that being said, for the betterment of the team, for example, if Mike McDaniel comes in and says, I'm willing to be the offensive play caller, the OC, for the Carolina Panthers, not going to lie to you, Dave Canales, you're going to have to suck your ego up, and you might want to let Mike McDaniel come in and do his thing. You might want to let Mike McDaniels come in and do his thing with this offense. I'm just saying. I really think that would be and put your ego aside and just be like, what can help the team? Am I being consistent enough to help this team? And I will say we do need a more dynamic play caller. If Canales isn't going to open up the playbook, then yes, we do need a more dynamic, more fluid play caller who can utilize everybody's assets to the best of their abilities. For example, sending Jimmy Horn on more deep threats. We've said this. Getting Bryce comfortable, more play action, getting used to everybody with each other, switching up who's in the slot, because it seems like if we put Coker, T-Mac, or whoever in that slot, they can eat. Utilizing everybody to our strengths, knowing when to run and where to run, and switching up the runs, and not abandoning the run at the same time either. And then allowing Bryce to take those shots down deep. You gotta have you have to be dynamic, and you have to be willing to do that. So hopefully Canales can look at himself and really make the decision on if his play calling is best for the team or if he needs to bring somebody in. Only time will tell. And before we get into y'all favorite segment, time for the Panther Free Statement of the day. And I had to get this beautiful one from T-Mac during Saturday's game, and it was him paying homage to the legendary Cam Newton with the dab. I loved it. When I saw it, I was like, yeah. Only thing that would have made it better is when Bryce Young ran for his touchdown. If Bryce Young had hit the Superman, that would have completed it all. I would have loved it if that had happened. I would have loved it. But now, y'all, it's time for your favorite segment. Time for Panther Nation to speak their truth. And that's why I read y'all comments and see what you lovely people have to say, man. And the first comment comes from Rachel Cuker, 9817, says, "We will always ride with you, Panther Nation. Honestly, some Sundays were pretty upsetting, but your videos bring me, back to reality. Keep pounding. Happy video 201. And Rachel, I think each and every one of y'all who just continue to support, love, and subscribe to the channel, if you're new here, appreciate you too. Thank you. Thank you for just supporting the channel, supporting me, supporting Panther Nation, supporting the Carolina Panthers. And hopefully we can bond all throughout the offseason and into 2026, man, and see what we can do. So, Rachel, thank you for the kind words. I know you weren't the only one who said it, but all y'all who support me, continue to comment and show love. I greatly appreciate all y'all, and I love y'all, man. Next comes from Kareem Sanders-V9P. My dog says, "I'm pumped up about this upcoming year. I'm ready for September already. Keep pounding." Listen, we ended on a high, and I'm ready to get back to it, and it's going to be a little minute, but I'm excited too. I'm excited to see how we build off of this. And man, the next step building off of this, it could be very, very beautiful. It could be very, very beautiful, man. We on the cusp. We there. And then lastly comes from the big homie, Trizzy2009, big homie, never the little one, says, "People forget that Jonathan Brooks was the first running back drafted in his draft class. If he didn't get injured in his final season in college, he would have been drafted in the first round easily. I've watched him in college and with those Longhorns, and man, oh man, he was a serious problem. Dallas had their eyes on him because they was looking at a running back in the draft, just like they was looking for a wide receiver in last year's draft, and we drafted T-Mac. That's 2 years in a row that we foiled the Dallas Cowgirls' plans, and I love it. I really believe that Brooks attacked his rehab with full intentions to be a major part of our young core. I'm just looking forward to seeing what he can do. W Video Gang, hashtag keep pounding." And if Brooks is as good as we anticipate him to be and can really set this up, bro, I'm just saying, thinking to myself, if our core really comes together, Bryce takes another leap, T-Mac takes a step up, Coker takes a step up again, Jimmy Horn gets better. X finally hits that potential we want. Jonathan Brooks just comes out guns blazing. Chuba gets back to what we need him to be. Then Bryson Tremaine and David Moore stay and they get back. Oh my God. And we open up the playbook. Bro. It could be so beautiful. But guys, that's all I have for today's video. Again, I apologize for the nose and stuffiness things and all that good jazz. I don't know what's going on. Literally this cold front that just came through here just messed me up because I've been perfectly fine all day. Just for some reason now, cold front has runny nose. But appreciate all y'all being here. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at the bottom so you can always be notified of when these videos are dropping. Next, comment below. Let me know, what are your thoughts on potentially bringing in a quarterback through the draft or free agency and being quarterback competition for Andy Dalton? Who would you want us to bring in based off available quarterbacks in free agency or in the draft? 2, what's your patience level for the class of 24? Wallace, Brooks, Charles Smith-Wade, Jatavian Sanders, so on and so forth. What's your patience at right now, each of those players, and what is it about them that what is it specifically that you see that is kind of running your patience thin with those players? And 3, I know DP's answer, but y'all tell me, who do y'all want Canals to still be the play caller and just open up more plays, or do you want us to bring in a different OC, and if so, who? Let me know everything in the comment section below, because at the end of the day, y'all know the deal. What do I know? I'm just a skinny brother with 2 tats. Peace. Much love to all you Panthers Nation. Take care. Later days. And as always, keep pounding. I'll see y'all next time.